Hey everyone, how's it going? Serena here from Whole Shift Wellness. I hope everybody is doing fabulous. So I'm checking in today as promised with a video on a distinction that will massively empower on your journey towards your most fit, healthy and confident self. And it's in reply to many comments and questions that you guys have been posting in the group revolving around how to stay motivated, how not to give up every other day and go down the path of junk food, how to really stick with the commitment of wanting to change even when you don't feel motivated to change. So this video will really answer a lot of these questions that have come up in the group. So I'm going to start with the chart up here, and we're going to delve deep into the 3 levels of accountability. So you can see here, TA stands for time allocation, which can go from 0 to say 100. For the purpose of the exercise, we'll say 100 is the max. And over here, you can see budget allocation, which can also go from 0 to 100, let's say. Now, notice the distinction. I'm not calling this time and money. I'm calling it time allocation and budget allocation, because it's not so much how much time you have. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's more about how much time you're willing to give to the cause of shifting to your most fit, healthy and confident self. And the same, to a different extent, applies to money. Then obviously not everybody earns the same amount of money, but most often than not, it's not so much whether you have the money or not, it's whether you're willing to allocate the money for that cause or not. So if you want to spend a lot of time shifting to your most fit, healthy and confident self, like you're willing to invest 100% of your time to do it, but you don't want to spend any money, you don't want to allocate any budget, then you can go for a DIY solution. It's do-it-yourself solution. And this is the most time-consuming way of getting to your intended goals and aspirations. And it requires the greatest amount of inherent motivation. So for instance, I do a lot of DIY when it comes to my health, wellness, fitness and nutrition. In fact, because I did so much of it in my life, I've acquired so much knowledge and skills that I can now help others do it. Now, to be a DIY person, your level of motivation needs to be such that you don't need anybody outside of yourself to motivate you in doing it. Health and well-being are a deeply embedded motivation in me, in my life. The seed was planted when I was only 8 years old. My dad got sick when I was 8 and lost everything he had worked so hard for years to build, with profound repercussions on our life as a family. And it was the most traumatic thing that ever happened to me, and it planted that seed in my consciousness that I would never ever end up like my dad. It wasn't even a conscious seed, I only really discovered it consciously recently. I was never ever going to end up like my dad, and I was gonna always strive to discover new ways to take the best possible care of myself. So you can see it's literally almost the essence of who I am. It was planted at such an early age, and it was such a strong motivation that it literally made me who I am, and it makes me so passionate. And so I've been willing to spend, like for instance, for the plant-based keto experiment, have spent so many hours researching, trialing, erroring, logging food into the tracker so that I can come up with the best macro split, reading articles, watching interviews. Literally so much time has been invested in it, but obviously I also do it for a living, so it's now become what I do. It's who I am and it's what I do. I don't need much accountability outside of me. I can take an online program, and in fact that's how I actually train. I use the Tracy Anderson online portal, and I can leverage the heck out of it because I am so inherently motivated that I will do it, I will max it, I will get to the point where I actually need to find something that challenges me a little bit more. So I know how to leverage a DIY solution to get the best possible results out of it, because my level of inherent accountability when it comes to health and well-being is through the roof, you know. Our shifters, for instance, they're halfway in. They're willing to invest some budget and they're willing to invest some money. However, they recognize that they don't have the same level of self-accountability as I have, and so they appreciate that they need a professional to distill 10 years. I have over 20 years of experience in various fields of health and wellness. I distill that knowledge into, bite-sized nuggets that they can take in and implement so that they can achieve the same results in a fraction of the time, because I've done all the groundwork for them and I continue to do it. I will never stop doing it, number one. And because we keep them accountable, we keep them motivated even when things don't go the way they intended or when they don't have the perfect week. We keep them on track for however long is needed for them to achieve the results that they're looking to achieve. So that's a do it with you solution. You're halfway in, you're putting a little bit of money, you're putting a little bit of time, but you're leveraging the expertise of a professional and the outside accountability of somebody that it will keep you on track no matter what. Then if you only want to spend money but don't want to invest any time whatsoever to get to your intended goals and purposes, you would go for what we call a do it for you solution. That means that you have zero to no motivation. You want somebody to do it for you, so you'll just spend extraordinary amounts of money to get liposuction. Because all you have to do is just pay and lie on the bed and they'll put you to sleep and they'll do it for you. Zero motivation needed here. Tons of motivation needed here. Some motivation needed here. Zero motivation present here, right? Now, why does this matter to you? And this is very fundamental. It is very effective to go up. For an instance, going back to using me as an example, and I'm doing this literally just to drive the message home. I don't want to shed any light on myself. But if I was to all of a sudden decide to start working with a professional, which I regularly do, and in fact I often train with my husband, and that's always amazing. But if I decided that I wanted to spend a month training with Tracy Anderson in person rather than doing an online program, I would leverage the heck out of that. If I'm capable of leveraging a DIY solution, I will smash through the roof of leveraging a doing with you solution. And I will get tons of inspirations, tons of motivation, I will get amazing results, I will have so much fun, it would be amazing. Might be saving up for it. If I was to get to a point where I discovered that I have a defect that no amount of exercise and nutrition can resolve, and I decided to get surgery on it, I will continue to leverage and get better and progress and feel more motivated and fall in love with myself more and take things to the next level. So traveling up, fantastic. Traveling down, however, disaster. If somebody who has zero motivation and only wants to put money into it, but is not willing to put any time at all into it, if that person decides to hire somebody and do it with somebody, they could hire, and I've seen this happen, the best trainer in the world, the best nutritionist in the world, the best professional in the world, and they would still sabotage it. They would cancel the session, they would not show up, they would make up excuses, they would end up eating more to compensate for the training that they've just undertaken. So when you travel down, that's when you fail yourself, because you're not staying true to what is your actual true level of accountability. And the same thing happens here, which is the one that we see most often, because some of our shifters actually have tried it on their own skin. Your level of accountability is that of doing it with someone. However, you stubbornly obsess over trying DIY solutions. And we have so many clients coming to us feeling like there's something wrong with them. Feeling they have failed so many times. They have tripped so many times. They have tried so many different things and nothing has worked, that they think that something is wrong with them. When actually that's not the case. They were just doing DIY solution when they are in fact doing with you motivation people. And so for as long as you are here, but you're consuming these products, you're not going to achieve the results that you intended. You're going to feel like a failure and you're going to waste money, time, but most importantly, motivation. Because every time you try something and it doesn't work, it's a little further dent in your motivation that's eating away at your belief that you can actually achieve your greatest level of health, fitness, well-being, and mind-body confidence. So here's what I want you to do today. I want you to have a look at this and think very honestly to yourself, where is it on this line that you actually sit? And are you looking for the right solutions for your level of motivation? Because I can tell you right now that doing that for the first time in your life is going to be the greatest thing that you will ever do, and it's going to be the one thing that will bring forth greater results than you can even think are possible. So that's as far as this top graph goes. So then, very quickly, I want to talk to you about this pie chart. And before I go into it, I want to ask you this question. Why do you think that Roger Federer, who is still probably to this day the greatest tennis champion in the world, why do you think that Roger has a tennis coach? And in fact, actually, the question I'll ask you is, if Roger was to play tennis with his coach, who do you think would win that match? Would Roger win the match or would the coach win the match? And I think most of you will have guessed right that Roger would definitely win the tennis match because he is the greatest tennis player in the world. So why does the greatest tennis player in the world have somebody who's not even as good as him coaching him? And the answer is in this pie chart. So imagine this pie chart as all the knowledge that exists in the world, right? All the knowledge in the world exists in this pie chart. So then, because you're really clever, you can see that this sliver of a pie is the knowledge that you possess, is the things that you know, right? So these are the things that you know. For an instance, I know that I can speak Italian, and I know that I can speak English, and I know that I can train 10 times a week, and I know that I can run a half a marathon, and I know that I can create a great plant-based meal plan. You know, this is the knowledge that I know I possess. This other sliver of the pie is the stuff that you know that you don't know. This is the knowledge that you know you don't possess. For an instance, I know that I don't know how to speak German. And I know that I don't know how to cook Indian dishes. And I know that I don't know how to run 100 meters in 10 seconds or what have you. It's the stuff that I am aware of not knowing how to do. or what it is. And this is where we tend to bang our head to find the solutions to our conundrums. And don't get me wrong, a lot can come from acquiring new knowledge in the areas where we know that we're lacking. You may know that you don't know how to stay motivated on your health and wellness journey, or that you don't know what the right meal plan for you is, or that you don't know how to do calisthenics, you know. Now, let me tell you, there's a lot of power that comes from bringing knowledge to the you don't know, you know that you don't know, to the you know that you know. However, this is where the magic happens. And this is the reason why the greatest tennis champion in the world has a tennis coach. This is the stuff that you don't know that you don't know. In other words, these are your blind spots. The reason why Roger Federer has, well, more than one actually, multiple coaches, is because Roger knows that his coach has a fundamental advantage over him that is not about playing tennis. His coach can see Roger's blind spots, which Roger can't see by himself. You don't know what you don't know. And there's a lot of that in your life. There's a lot of that in my life. I can't see my own blind spots. Nobody can see their own blind spot. That's why I've married a professional, because health and wellness is so high on my value system that I made sure that I created an environment whereby not only was my accountability permanently a source, because I have married the fittest man I've ever met, but also he is able to show me the things that I don't know that I don't know. He can spot my blind spots. I can't see my own blind spots. You can't see your own blind spots. Roger Federer can't see his own blind spots. It doesn't matter how clever or smart you are. So for an instance, to bring this conversation back to some of the things that were said in the group, such as I want to change but I don't want to change. When you're stuck at a conundrum like that, where you know that you want to change but you're feeling conflict, it's because there's a blind spot that hasn't been brought up to the surface to be seen clearly and identified and worked through and worked out. And the truth of the truth about that is that you're never going to be able to do that on your own unless there's a crisis. There's only two ways for you to discover your blind spots, or for anybody to discover their blind spots, even me. One is you work with somebody that shows them to you in a smart and systematic way. The second way is that you crash. Because think about when you drive the car. That's how you discover if you had something in your blind spot that you couldn't see. A crash is a breakdown, is a crisis. It's a near-death experience. It's a doctor's note that tells you that you're at risk of this, that, the other, and you actually shakes you to your core. This is the only way to bring this back up here. This is the only way that you can travel down this line. You can travel down this line if you work with somebody who's so great that manages to embed certain things in you. For instance, many of our shifters are then able to leverage some of the work that we do and continue on their own. Or continue on with a pared down approach that doesn't require as much accountability because they've kind of put those solid foundations in. Or somebody who has zero motivation and is only thinking about liposuction might actually finally have the motivation to do something about it and work with somebody because they have a heart attack and end up in hospital, and they have become afraid of dying prematurely, or the doctor calls them in and tells them that they have to do extra tests because something looks suspicious. So they become really present all of a sudden with the real value of their health in a very shocking way, almost like what happened to me when I was 8 years old. So I invite you to consider that your greatest level of health, fitness and mind-body confidence lies in this sea of knowledge that you're not even aware that you don't have, in your blind spots. And for as long as you leave those blind spots in the blind, you will continue to self-sabotage yourself. And you will do a bit and you take one step forward, 10 steps back, or you continue to try the wrong things based on the wrong level of accountability that you possess. So I hope this is of value. I know it's a lot of information and some of it can sound a little up in the air. So if you have any questions, make sure you write them in the comments, reach out to me, let me know what you think of this. Do you like this kind of videos? Is this helpful? Do you want to see more of these? I want to contribute to you in the most empowering way possible, and so your feedback really helps me to understand if I'm doing that right, or if I could be doing more of other things. So, but take a minute, think about this, digest this. This is massive. These distinctions are life-changing. So take them on board, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you very soon. Ciao for now. Bye.